We just moved to Canada 6 months ago, and we came from South Africa, and we are living in British Columbia.
On Vancouver Island, and a little bit remote.
Yeah, we live in a logging town about
Small.
half an hour out of the bigger town.
Out of a medium-sized town.
Medium-sized town.
Yeah. So anyway, so we need vehicles. I mean, I think to be a little bit more comfortable, we need vehicles. Most people, own at least one car. Vehicles. So buying a car, in a new country. If you're not going to live in the city you should be fine. In a first world country, generally the public transport works amazingly well. So there's trams and buses and sky rails. Vancouver has a sky rail system. There's ferries, and then obviously there's taxi cabs and stuff you can take. I suppose, we'd actually be fine without a vehicle for you.
No, we're not.
You could walk to the grocery store. Let's explore your options.
As a new immigrant.
The bottom line is there aren't many options.
Okay, so what happens is when you are newly immigrated, you have spent a fortune just being here.
Yeah. So in terms of vehicles, you either need to buy it cash or you need to try and finance it, but the financing options are slim to none. The problem is, like Ina said, so basically you're going to spend so much money getting here, and then you obviously don't want to rent forever, so you want to save your capital and not spend it on a vehicle. So now all of a sudden you're in a bit of a pinch because you have to buy something to drive with. But so if you have anything from say $1,500, $2,000, you can buy like a really run-down vehicle. I think something that just goes.
Ooh.
So unless you have, after you've paid all your immigration money and all your relocation costs and getting here and all the stuff that you found out that you need, and
the deposits that you need for your rental,
deposit for hydro.
Hydro is the electricity bill. They keep that as well, and there's so much hidden costs.
There's so many costs that so much cost that you have to cover and that you just don't have planned for. Like everyone needs snow gear all of a sudden, snow boots. So we come from a warm country where, there's hardly snow. And now all of a sudden everyone needs snow gear and they need...
The credit.
Okay, so your options for finance is either lease, where you don't own the vehicle and you rent it for that section or that portion of time. So what we got is I got a 2-year work permit. Now the problem is the banks will only finance for the period of your work permit. So for me, it's all of a sudden it's a 2-year finance, but now I'm already 6 months into my work permit, so they can only finance me for 1 year. And so finance is really tough. And then same thing for finance. So lease is obviously going to be cheaper, but finance is going to be even worse because then you have to pay off the whole value of the vehicle within the 1 year or 2 years that they'll finance it for you. So you arrive here and you have no credit history for Canada. So you can send them a bank reference letter from your home country. I think your bank will discuss that with you, and then they'll see that as sort of a referral for good credit. I don't know how big of a role it plays. So we actually bought the little Audi that we bought from one of the guys that work with me, and he got a Tesla a while back, and the Audi's been standing for I think more than a year, probably like 2 years or something. It's been standing, and he was great. He said, you could pay me in installments. So we were able to not, so I could start work and earn money and then, pay him off on the vehicle, which has been great, incredibly great, yeah.
So what happens is that I think the best thing to plan for would be to set aside some money. And if you're coming to Canada, set aside about $4,000 to $5,000 and be willing to buy a second-hand car that way. for that price, what happens is that you have to pay 10% tax on your purchase as well. So that's another $400. And then because you are a new driver to Canada, you have to pay high insurance. So it ended up being, we paid $4,000 for our car, and then the insurance in the end, just for 3-month term, was $450 as well.
And that's usually irrespective of the value of the vehicle. Insurance is run by the government here, so it's a state or the provincial
It's mandated.
thing, and it's mandated. Yeah. So when you renew your license, you have to take an insurance with it. Where in South Africa it was optional. The other thing we could talk about is licenses.
Yes.
So we were in Canada 10 years ago, and I did my driver's license then in BC.
So what happens when you arrive here new? And I had been a driver in my country I had been licensed to drive for 20 years already. You only have a 3-month that your foreign driver's license is valid. Within that 3-month period, you have to do your learner's license, which is the written test for all the rules, which is great because a new country, even though you've been driving, a new country has new rules, and they've got great rules here. It was good to touch up on that and know exactly what their road signs mean and what their school zones are and stuff. And then you had to schedule that, and then after you successfully pass that exam, you book a road test, like you do in all countries. However, there's such a backlog because of COVID that that I had to, the first appointment I could get was 6 months after the date that I looked for it, and that would have meant that it was 3 months after my international driver's license expired. And I looked for cancellations. I got an appointment randomly from a cancellation 10 days before my 3 months expired.
So in South Africa, we drive on the left side of the road, same as Europe. And that is obviously the right side of the road. And here in Canada, they drive on the wrong side of the road, which is the right side of the road. So that took a bit of getting used to, driving on the other side of the road, the wrong side.
It takes a bit of concentration, a lot of concentration.
A lot of concentration. So how many times did you pull in the wrong lane?
I'm not going to say. What happens is when I pull out of a parking lot and there are no other cars on the roads, my first reaction is to turn left, do a quick left into the left lane.
Yeah.
So I always have to, that's my sensitive point.
And that's absolutely the truth. So if you get to an intersection and you see another car driving from this way or that way, or in your lanes, or even parked cars help, then you've got a reference. Oh yes, we're
staying on the right.
We're staying on this side and this side. But if there's nothing in the road and there's no clear signs, it's incredibly easy just to pull into the wrong side of the road. So I've probably done it, I would say a good 3 or 4 times. And then one time was really bad. I came into the main road.
I don't think you should say this.
It's a funny story.
No.
So in the main road of the... I'm saying it. I'm telling it. So in the main road, I pulled out of the home hardware. I had to buy some stuff for work. And I pulled out of there and I turned out the parking lot in the side road. And there was no vehicles in the side road. And
no traffic.
No traffic. Yeah, there's no vehicles in there. So I turned in the left side, going down about 20 meters, and then I wanted to go left. In the left lane, go left. So that's like oncoming. It's like double oncoming traffic. And that was the main highway sort of going through that section of the town. And there was a vehicle on this side wanting to turn from the left, wanting to turn up, and from the right wanting to turn up. And everyone's just like, all traffic stopped. Everyone's like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, sorry. And I just sort of pulled away and went to the correct lane. So you have to bargain or budget for winter tires because in the winter you need tires that are very, very soft and grippy, so they obviously can go over snow and ice. So a lot of guys buy a second set of rims and they have them fitted once on the snow rims, and then you have because that you can swap yourself. Obviously, just undo the bolts for the wheels. But I didn't want to spend more money and buy another set of snow tires. We looked at all the options for buying snow tires. I did a fair bit of digging around, seeing what the options are, and I found a website called Canada Wheels, and pretty cool. You can go in there and just have a look at all the rim sizes and tire sizes and vehicles and all sorts of things, and I found them to be probably one of the cheapest ones out there. And the tires we bought was, I mean, I'm super happy with them. They seem to work really well.
And they shipped them over. They delivered them onto the porch.
Delivered them onto our porch, yeah. So that was cool. I think that's about it for vehicles. Yeah, it's a beautiful place to drive around in. And
it is beautiful.
Vancouver Island is pretty rainy, so today is a beautiful blue sunshine day.
One thing I might add is that if you don't live in a city in Canada, you are most likely going to drive a fair bit, even if you live in a town, because the towns are small, but where people live are more on acreages and, you know, in the country. It feels more like in the country. So you end up, if you don't live in the city, which is very expensive to live in, if you don't live in the city, you are guaranteed to drive a lot for work, unless you really work from home. In our town, we can walk to school, we can walk to the library, we can walk to even the grocery if we need to. But you need a car to drive, so you end up driving long distances. It's a big country,
and massive country,
it's sparsely populated, so you end up driving a lot. There's space.
There's space, yeah. Okay,
Great.
I think that's it. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.